My grandfather, Alex Campbell, was a pilot during World War II. He flew Lancasters out of Water Beach, England. On the night of July 28, 1944, he was piloting Lancaster A2C over occupied France. The target that night was Stuttgart. At 1 minute after midnight, they were attacked by Ju-88 night fighter piloted by Luftwaffe pilot Johannes Strasner. Badly damaged by the attack, the flaming Lancaster spiraled into a field close to Châteaudun, France. Incredibly, all of the crew had bailed out. On September 29, 2013, Grandpa, at age 90, climbed back into the pilot seat of a Lancaster. This aircraft, located at the Canadian Warplane Heritage Museum in Hamilton, Ontario, is one of only 2 flying Lancasters left in the world. The aircrew at the museum welcomed him aboard. Speaking from the pilot seat, Grandpa describes his dramatic and terrifying escape from the burning plane.
And I had a DR compass right up there. It was one of the first things to disappear, a shell that must have just took it right out. The windshield went away, wham, the wind was coming in.
Is that the day you had to bail out? Or
yeah,
it
was the night, yeah.
Night, yeah. So that's where he bailed out. So you can take that panel right off, and then, but what I don't understand is, you're flying, everybody jumps out.
Yeah.
Now you got to jump out.
Yeah.
So you have to get out of this seat and go down there and go out the door. And have you got it all trimmed at this point?
There's no very little control left. We were descending now at a tremendous angle. I don't know what it reached. When I let go, the rear gunner had just gone. I had been pulling back as hard as I could. I had no port engines at all. They were gone. The port wing was so riddled with shells, 20 millimeters, they came up through from below on a long slant, and they left long elongated slots with the metal bent back. And the flames were just, I could hear them roaring on my ears. And when I let go of the stick, I lifted up this far. It must have just dropped more. I didn't realize I was holding that hard on what was left of the elevator. Dropped, I went up in the air, and I came down right across here. I was almost upside down. I had a hell of a time. I had to get back in here, right in, get the harness tucked back down, because the parachute and the K-type dinghy was still jammed in here.
Okay.
And that was starting to stretch my harness. And I got back in, then out again. I did it a little quicker this time, making sure like a woman holding her skirts up, I stepped out like that. And then I got down to about here, and I took a dive for the door. And this engineer's footrest
was still there?
Was out about that far. I usually have the flight engineer to push that in if we're practicing. This time I decided I better do it myself, because the second dickey hadn't gone through the procedure of bailing out in my aircraft. They likely did it in their own. And I'm going to push that in myself. I just gave it a swat, and of course when I did that, down went the nose again, back up here, and when I dived out, it hit me right in the ribs and caught into my harness, my stuff. It did. I was hanging there at an angle. Look.
Okay, here's what he was hanging on. This thing right here.
There it is.
This thing here.
Just did it.
It was out like that normally, so he pushed it. But instead of going all the way in, it was about like that.
Right.
So he's trying to go through here, and it catches his harness.
You've got the picture. Where it goes.
Okay. Yeah.
And that's what I hit. And I was hanging here like this. And for some reason, something threw me off. Now, the pilot that shot us down said that we did a right spun. He called it a spun. I expect he means spin. And
this is from Strasner's logbook, his description of the attack.
Right. He's still alive, is he?
No.
Well, did he live after the war?
He did, but we just tracked him down shortly after he died, but talked to his commanding officer.
Yeah, Rocker. He's still alive.
Heinz Rocker.
Heinz Rocker, have you heard of him at all?
Famous.
A German pilot who did some book writing and so on. He sent me a note, said unfortunately he has died in 98.
Ah.
But anyway, I'm hanging there. I got off of that somehow. Then I bent my feet up. I thought there was a glycol tank down there someplace.
There might be.
Well, maybe that's it. That step could be a glycol tank.
Yeah, it could be.
I'll bet it is. And I bent my legs up like a frog as I could see where the hole was and shot the head at it. What had happened, the bomb aimer had undone the hatch, stuffed it up in the front turret, which he's supposed to do, not try to put it out because it'll get jammed in there maybe. When I went up, it went up too and came down cornerways across the hole.
Oh.
Just off the
Yeah.
angle. And there was a triangle of space down at this end.
Yeah.
Enough for my head to get out. That was all. My head and shoulders were wedged in there, and I couldn't move my arms enough. And fortunately, I was facing back. The slipstream would have flipped the eyeballs out. I've heard of that happening. I never saw it happen to anyone, but I've heard of it, and I can see it. The wind would blow them out, hanging down their cheek. And anyway, I thought, this is it. It's going to be a big bang, or maybe it won't be any noise at all. But, I'm going to hit the ground any second now, and I thought I would. But all of a sudden I got horribly mad. I swore something awful. Then, the next thing I know, I started slipping through, and I was out. And the first thing I really noticed was blowing both my flying boots right off. They were like that. They were just the long zippered ones that were made of suede. And that was it. And then I think, oh my God, that's great. And I wasn't going to count to 3 to grab the ripcord. I just said, I'm going to pull you now. And I reached, there wasn't a stitch of harness on me. Nothing. Nope. I felt all around like this. Oh my God. I don't think I laughed, but it could have been amusing to think that, got through all that stuff, and then you're going to die anyway. And as that happened, I was going down head first, and I had slowed down to 120 miles an hour now. It was 300, the navigator said, when he was getting out.
Yeah.
So I don't know what it was then. It'd be 300 anyway, I guess. Yeah. And something glinted up above, and it drew my attention above, and sure enough, I could see a rectangular blob going this way, fishtailing down behind me. And I thought, geez, that looks like my parachute. And I grabbed my harness. The loops of the harness had gone around both heels. I was in bare feet, or sock feet now. And I just knew somehow, I didn't really know, but I just happened to hit on the ripcord, and there it is, and I dug my fingers in it and hung on tight because I knew it was going to be an awful jerk when I opened. And I pulled it, and the chute opened, the little chute, and then the big one crack, and my fingers just burst right off.
Of course it did, yeah.
Yeah. I had a ring that my wife had given me, and it split the solder on it and ripped it off. And my two heels clacked together with a bang and chipped the bones, they told me, in one of the hospitals over there. But I thought, boy, that was close. And I saw something going by. I was rotating now, because it had wound up, I guess, the harness and that. And that looked like a roof. And I'm going to I must be close to the ground, I'm going to take it on my shoulders. I just got my head bent, and bang, I hit the ground. And it was lucky it was a stubble field, a wheat field, and it had been cut.
His wheat field.
And that's what saved me there. It didn't break my neck.
No.
I got a sore neck today. I just thought of it. Anyway, that's beside the point. So
Wow.
Then I flopped, sort of flaked out, a bit dazed, I guess, and thought, well, I'm someplace. If I'm on the ground, I'll probably be a prisoner of war, but I'm alive.
Yeah, exactly.
And what did I say at the end? And it looks like I'll see my 21st birthday coming up in August. Yeah. That was it.
Now, was that your last mission?
Yes.
They counted that as a mission, so you had your 25.
Yeah, and they qualified it and gave me a tour.
Yeah.
I'd only done 25. I didn't do the 30.
30 was the tour at that point?
Yeah.
Okay.
But they went over my record.
I know.
To get more out of them.
Yeah, oh yeah. It
was
started out
25.
lower. Yeah, exactly.
But before any of this started, the Bob Giffen, the second pilot, started down the alleyway, and I thought, oh good, now he's getting out. 5 seconds later, or maybe almost right away, he came back up, covered in parachute shroud and silk, just loaded with it. And it was flapping and blowing around in here. It was, just a nightmare again. Jock, it'd be about where you were standing now, grabbed him, turned him around, and pulled stuff off of the knobs and sharp objects, and got him bundled up and out the hole, and just stuck his head back up and goodbye. He's gone. He got out too. But Bob, he didn't survive. He died.
His parachute didn't open properly, or?
It was mostly that the chute was all tangled up.
Yeah, it didn't work. Yeah. Yours
He'd
almost.
been hit a bit too. Several of them were hit. The mid-upper gunner was hit with mostly fragments, and he had an awful lot of perspex in them. And I had some, I don't know off of who or what, just in this arm. I can't show anybody my war wounds, you know. So,
It's perspex.
We picked them all out. They're all gone. But
Well, you want to make your way
about
out?